You've been in shock. You've denied. You've gotten angry. You've bargained for your loved one's life, and nothing has worked. They're gone, and there's nothing that you can do to bring them back. That reality is sinking in heavily. This is the depression stage of grief, and for many people, it is the longest and the most challenging. So hold on to your hat as we wallow through the depths of despair. Okay, that was really cheesy and dramatic, but seriously, this stage sucks. Stay tuned. Hey there, if we haven't met, my name is Brooke from Grieving Mommy, and on my channel, I share my journey through loss and grief after losing my 10-year-old daughter Libby in a car accident. I also help other people that are going through the grieving process. Depression is the fourth stage of grief in Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages, and oftentimes it's the longest for people. In fact, the effects of the depression stage may last for years after a loss. In my opinion, the symptoms of the depression stage are felt throughout the loss. It peeks its way through the shock, swirls its way around the anger, and creates the desperation of our bargains. But it's once we have accepted the reality of our loss and the fact that our person isn't coming back that it seeps into every fiber of our being and takes us down. When in the depression stage, we feel sadness like we have never felt before. Unless you've been through it, it is almost impossible to describe. Many grievers in this stage have difficulty sleeping because of constant thoughts of the death. There could be a lack of appetite or an increase in comfort eating going the other direction. And honestly, sometimes what's even more frightening is when we feel absolutely nothing at all, like we are just an empty shell of our old selves. This is the what's the point phase of grief, where we ask ourselves that question. What is the point? Who am I without my person? What am I going to do with the rest of my life? How am I going to live with this pain? In this stage, a lot of times we're questioning if we can even go on without our person. The effort to live daily life just seems so exhausting and so overwhelming. We lose hope that things are ever going to get better. It's during this stage of grief especially that a lot of people find that they have trouble getting out of bed in the mornings. There's usually an abundance of tears. Many people tend to isolate themselves because they're unable to muster up the energy for social situations. And unfortunately, one of the side effects is that a lot of grievers try to numb themselves and numb the pain by using alcohol and drugs. These things won't make the pain go away. Maybe temporarily, but it's only a tiny temporary fix, and it's not healthy. The key to this stage is to let yourself feel the sadness. As annoying as it might be, the phrase, "the only way out is through," is 100% appropriate to this stage of grief. The sadness and hopelessness that people feel during this stage actually helps you to journey to the next stage. If avoided, these feelings can bottle up and keep you mired in this depression for years and years. I can tell you from personal experience how insanely freaking difficult this stage is. I have cried so hard that my eyes have completely swollen shut. I have cried to the point where I broke blood vessels in my nose and blood was gushing everywhere. Sorry if that's gross, but this is grief. This is the depression stage of grief. It is not fun. And honestly, I got to the point where I didn't even want to go on after my daughter died. I ended up checking myself into a day program at a mental hospital because I was having way too many thoughts of running my car off the road, into a tree, walking in front of traffic, you name it. I was thinking about doing it. Which brings me to my next point about what is normal depression and when you need help. Depression is a totally normal part of grief. Depression while grieving does not mean that you have a mental illness. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It's okay to be sad and to feel helpless and hopeless and lost and to want to stay in your pajamas and cry all day. All of those things are normal. And all of those things are important to feel. They are all part of the healing. So let yourself feel them. However, if you are having frequent suicidal thoughts or you find yourself making plans of suicide, you need to reach out to someone for help. These kind of thoughts take grief into that area of clinical depression. With help and support, you can get through this stage, although it is quite common to circle back into this stage several times. I know for me, I feel like I'm through it, and then special things like birthdays and holidays and just the change of the seasons, just life events kind of trigger those bouts of depression all over again. So like we said, it is a circular pattern. It is not a straight line. It is a wavy, crazy line. And even when you're past the depression stage, it is very easy to kind of jump back in there. The point is to get help if you need help. Make sure that you talk to someone if you feel like your grief is beyond the stage of normal grief or you're having thoughts of hurting yourself. We really want to make sure that everyone is safe. There is light on the other side of the depression stage. You will get to a point where you are not feeling like that every single day, but you need to work through it and you need to be patient and give yourself as much time as you need. You can do this. You can make it through. I did, and I know that you can too. And if you need help, please do not hesitate to ask for help. The light at the end of the tunnel is the next stage, acceptance. But that might not mean what you think it means. So head over to this next video where I discuss the last stage of grief, acceptance. I'll see you there.